Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of How to Harad. And in this one we're starting off with what is going to be a loss. We are being assaulted at the outpost of Dol Baran here, a settlement which we took as part of a peace negotiation with the Kingdom of Rohan. And of course that peace did not last very long. They put us under siege and are attacking with a medium-sized army, a very small army actually, but we as part of the garrison have just these Haradrian peasants at arms, so this is going to be not really worth fighting. We'll just take a clear defeat there. As for Dunfrecca, as per the last episode, we are besieged by a small-looking army of the Reunited Kingdom, and I'm noticing that they're not building any rams yet. It's been a turn or so since they started putting us under siege, so it may be that they plan to wait us out. Now, inside the settlement, we have a lot of forces in terms of numbers. Now, in terms of strength, they would probably beat us because they have a lot of these pretty reasonably tough units like King's Swordsmen and even some King's Spearmen. But I think in an actual battle, we'd do better than it might look on paper. So I think the plan will be to wait a couple of turns, see if they do get to building some rams. If so, just wait for the assault and beat them there. If not, we'll have to sally out. We are in the process of building our fiefdom dominion, so we don't want that interrupted. But in the south, we do have relief coming on this fleet. We've got not quite a full stack, about 3/4, mostly Corsairs. I thought that would be somewhat fitting given the faction. And what I plan to do with this army is actually march it right through western Gondor. We're going to send it up here to the west, and hopefully that'll distract some of the other armies in the area. I'm not sure if we're going to accomplish too much with this force, but maybe we'll do some light raiding. Because I do see the Reunited Kingdom are sending an army up from the pass here. So we've got a spy. Let's send him over and take a look. And in here, we've got kind of more of the same. It's not looking too threatening, but it is a large enough force. So possibly the Reunited Kingdom is going to wait for this army to meet up with this one. But we can maybe make things a little tougher for them. So let's go ahead and disembark. Now, I know that it would certainly be much easier to go ahead and besiege Dol Amroth. On the other hand, I kind of like playing it this way. We'll just see what happens. I'm going to set them at Anphalis. We're going to get right off the boat here, and we're going to place this under siege. Now, there may be another army somewhere waiting in the wings, but we've got the money to grab some local disaffected mercenary types from the coast. We'll grab them for sure, and we'll just see what else happens. Maybe this army will head back down south. Maybe some other army will emerge from the fog of war. But either way, the plan is to distract the United Kingdom, sack some of the coastline, and maybe get some relief for Dunfrecca. And so on the following turn, I'm happy to see that the AI is building some rams, and they do plan to assault with this army. Great news for us. Over in the west, though, our siege of Anphalis has not really changed the trajectory of this army north of Thorenburg Keep, so we'll see if they plan to stick around or maybe head back down south. We could just go ahead and assault the settlement and take it ourselves and do some damage, so let's jump into that. And inside this settlement, it doesn't look like too much. These western cities of Gondor are typically not very well developed, and it looks like we've got a few units of swordsmen, King's Swordsmen. There is a family member back here, so we'll have to deal with these Knights of the White Tree. And further back in the plaza, there is a unit of archers, so there'll be stuff we will need to deal with, but I'm not too concerned about it. We've got plenty of Corsair archers, we've got mercenary Gondorian swordsmen to push the rams, and we've got a bunch of Corsairs to do the hand-to-hand fighting in the streets. So we've made it through the gate pretty easily, and now we've got our melee guys getting stuck in the center here. We should bring our spearmen up, though, so we can deal with these cav, but it's important mostly just to get them captured by any infantry at all when we're dealing with a city-type situation. You don't want them fighting in the plaza. So these Gondorian swordsmen are going to not do a lot of damage, but they'll at least hold their attention until our spearmen can come in. We've brought our Corsair archers up and having a bit of a duel here in the streets with those bowmen of Gondor, and we're going to do the better performance here. And in terms of the melee itself, those Knights of the White Tree are doing very well, even against my spearmen. You can see they've already routed my one unit of Gondorian sword mercenaries. We do have another one here offering some support, but the spearmen I'm hoping are going to be able to bring this to a conclusion. It might be worth bringing my cav up, though, just to accelerate things a little. Or we could try these Corsairs of Umbar. They've kind of got nothing else to do, so let's try that. They're certainly not an anti-cavalry unit, but they do have a good attack. They're a decent melee unit in general, so maybe they can be somewhat useful here. And actually, yeah, we are wearing them down quite a lot with those swordsmen jumping in. I don't know how many kills they're getting. Maybe they're just changing the dynamic in terms of the mass and everything in the melee. But we took the general out, so excellent. And now just a final grim last stand at the plaza for the remaining defenders, and we'll have this settlement taken. Alright, Anphalis taken, and I think we'll lay desolate. There's not too much loot to be had here, but it is pretty easy pickings. So we'll do that, and then I think what we'll do is trash everything and then take this army north. Now, it doesn't really bother me if the Reunited Kingdom takes this back more or less immediately. I think, though, we do have to be a little careful about marching through this region. You can see it's terribly forested, and the only pass is through this woods. So I think what I may do is spend a bunch of cash on a watchtower just to get a general sense of what's around. And since I don't see anything here, we'll just end on what I believe is some high ground in the open. And so if we're attacked, we'll have a decent show of it. And meanwhile, in the east, after a bit of maneuvering, we've managed to capture Alagos again. We've done a lot of auto-calcing around here, just because the numbers we've been facing are so small, and so I haven't felt the need to fight all these battles, or to really show them. But we've basically arranged everything the way we need to in order to pass this over to Far Harad, and that is, in other words, we've taken all of our military units off of the territory, except for the units that are garrisoned inside the settlement itself, and we'll just set this up so Far Harad can have that settlement back. I'm going to go ahead and give them 10,000 Mirian in addition to Alagos as a gift. That'll hopefully help them to build a little bit and maybe send some more lucrative tribute my way at some point. It's certainly not a wasted investment with protectorates. Alright, with Alagos back in friendly hands and the only remaining settlements of Khand besieged, we may now, if not this turn, then maybe the next, have a bit of a shot at making Khand a bit more friendly. So let's go ahead and offer them a bunch of money. We've got plenty. Let's go for 100,000. I don't think they'll bite this early in the negotiations. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So what we may do is give it another shot in another turn or two. Well, the moment has come. We have a Reunited Kingdom assault on Dunfrecca, and unfortunately, it would be very dramatic and cool, but these Rohan armies did not arrive in time to aid their ally. That could really have been decisive. Some of the units they've been training are pretty substantial, and so that would have been very difficult for us to deal with. As it is, we'll have our hands full, it looks like, according to the balance of power bar, dealing with this army here. Now, they've got a ton of rams. That's probably going to be the most annoying thing. They'll be able to make a ton of holes, and we'll have our hands full with arrows and trying to use our relatively few melee units to good effect. And here they come, the Reunited Kingdom's army. Now, one thing that's interesting about this settlement's walls is that this particular level of walls means that the AI is only going to be able to bring rams against it. They can't bring ladders, they can't bring siege towers, which means that your archers, any units that are stationed on the walls, are going to be pretty much safe. The AI, when it's assaulting a settlement, is very slow to actually send ground troops up onto the walls unless they get there by a tower or a siege ram. So in this situation, you can pretty much have your archers set up at will. Now here we've got some red sand archers as well as some archers of Harad. These guys are a bit of a hybrid unit, but they also have the ability to fire flaming arrows. I'm giving that a shot. So far it's not doing any good at all, but we'll let them do that for a little while longer, and maybe we'll leave it on just for the morale impact. We do have some swording skirmishers who are going to be scaring people as well, and we do have a bunch of swords of Harad just here somewhere near the front. We've got our spearmen as well ready to set up. The enemy does have some cavalry. It's got a bodyguard unit. So do we over here, and I'm just wondering where the best place is to utilize all of these units, and I think we'll be moving things around as the battle unfolds. So for example, now might be a good time to bring these swordsmen over. What I'm thinking is going to happen ultimately is that the AI is going to get some men in through the walls, and then our archers and towers will be able to just keep shooting at them. As long as our infantry can hold and we can keep, firing away, I think we should be doing all right. Now, at the front gate here, we're going to be fighting Kingdom Militia at first, so that should be just fine. I'll go ahead and put my spearmen on guard mode so they don't pursue the enemy once they start routing. There are some spearmen as well. We've got mostly King's Swordsmen here, but we do have some units of spears somewhere. Ah, there they are, the King's Spearmen. And you can see now our archers are firing that flaming ammunition. Now, this is going to be, I believe, slightly less lethal, but more of a problem to the enemy morale. So we'll just keep it up for a while and see how things progress. Okay, we do have the Blackroot Vale Bowmen, but I think we're just going to have to soak up that missile fire. Not too much we can do about it. I think we can reach them with our Red Sand Archers. And in fact, this would probably be a good target to spend those arrows against. Typically, the AI is not going to match up too well against your own bowmen. They tend to spread their aim around a lot to several different units. Okay, so we're through the gate here, and we've got a very confused ram that just phased through the wall, apparently. This is behavior I've never seen before. We have 39 King's Swordmen. Okay, here they are. They found the secret postern gate, apparently, and just walked right in. All right. We'll see how this goes for them. I mean, they are technically fighting my men. I'm not sure how my swordsmen are going to react to this. I just give them an attack order, and they may end up going out through the gate, which is not necessarily what I want. Okay, they're at least fighting here. All right, great. We'll cancel that, bring you back. Yeah, those Blackroot Vale Bowmen are down to 21 men. Well, we've got 57 up here, so we'll be able to eliminate that unit. So let's get our other unit of swordsmen over here. And we're going to just outnumber them with these infantry units, so we should be fine. As for these units that are going to break through here, again, I'm not too concerned because we've got our archers on the walls, and we'll be able to shoot them in the back as soon as they get through. Again, they're very unlikely to actually climb up the towers to fight our archers. If they do, I will be surprised. Alright, so we've got some gaps now. We've got the enemy rushing through them. Let's see how this goes. Okay, yeah, and you see our archers just going to turn around, fire in the back. I imagine this unit's going to, yeah, they're shaken, panicked by flames. They're probably not going to make it very far. Now, maybe they do make it all the way around, but it's 19 men, 18. I don't see things working out for them. And we can certainly scramble our cavalry up there if need be. And already we're seeing some routing in some of these other places. Let's bring those swordsmen back. So far, the general has not moved in. We've got swordsmen winning easily against swordsmen over here on the left. And so far, the King's Swordsmen have not made their move. The spearmen are somewhere. Okay, here they are. And routing already. Fantastic. Alright, so we've got flames panicking all of these units. It'll only be a matter of time before this guy decides to charge in, probably through the gate, and meet his death on our spears, I imagine. Now at this point, some of our archers are running through their ammunition. These Red Sand Archers are out. That's actually fine. I don't want them to get into the fight. And yeah, it looks like those swordsmen did not make it. The last one died right in front of this tower, it looks like. So we didn't even have to address that. We've got swordsmen routing all over the place. Okay, we did have one more ram. That's what the enemy was waiting for. Now, this one has a lot more men, 52. We've got 55 in this unit of swords, but I think it's probably worth bringing our general over. We do have to be very careful. This is the only family member we have in the settlement. We do have one outside, just with a couple of mercenaries, but family members in this part of the world are a very rare commodity. But we'll bring him closer for a bit of that fear effect. Hopefully get him routed. All right, we do have a bit of a battle again in the breach here. Swordsmen are winning slightly, and this is where things could get bad for us, because as these units regroup, they're going to outlast us. They just have better defense, better morale. Our men are good at numbers, but we've got 51 here, 50 to, in total about even numbers and technically superior units. So this could go badly for them. Over here, though, let's charge in with the general. We'll do the horn trick. Now, I don't expect this to be a shockingly victorious charge, but let's pull through. We'll get around to the back. And now they're losing heavily and shaken. Just make sure our general doesn't get killed here. Come on, guys, a bit of speed. There we go. And we're tied in terms of numbers, and that's not a good thing. Over here, I think we are going to come out on top just because of the numbers that we have. We have an advantage here, and we're also fighting spearmen. But it's only when all these units are routing, typically, that the AI general is going to risk it. So let's charge in again. Although this is not going to be a charge at all. It's just going to be a regular old slow flank attack, but they're wavering. There's our general, it looks like, and he's pretty far from the fighting. It's swordsmen. So that should be okay. I'm a little concerned about friendly fire. We do have a tower here. Alright, that battle is still undecided over on the right, and here we go. So we've got the enemy routing. We'll just pull back and let the towers do their work. Starting to see some routing here. The spearmen are going to be the last to leave the field, it looks like. And with the spearmen routing, we can see the general moving in. What I want to do here is get my spearman where he's going to go, and it looks like he's aiming for this entrance. And we also want to get our cavalry in position. And let's just go ahead and get him kind of caught. Cavalry around in the back, with spears as well to help out, and the general over nearby just in case we need some extra support. All those things, we should be pretty good. I'm probably just going to leave the cav to chase down routers in case he does decide to rout. They're winning easily against my spearmen, but that's probably because, well, we're sort of disorganized here. Alright, things are starting to even out at this point with our second spearman getting in the back. They're losing heavily. Yeah, let's see if we can push it into a quick victory here. But it's always risky getting your general in the fight because you're not quite sure of the traits or attributes of the enemy general. Those can make a big difference in terms of hit points and morale. But so far we're doing very well. He's routing, and we haven't lost anybody in this unit. Eloahabi of Lokond is really doing fantastic in this fight. It looks like that general is probably just going to fall. Nowhere to run. And down he goes. That's a victory there. We'll end the battle since we've basically got everything we need to get. Only lost 100 men. That's pretty decent, and we wiped out over 700 of theirs. So we've saved Dunfrecca and given it a little more time to complete its fiefdom dominion. It's got 5 seasons left, and I don't think we'll be able to finish it before Rohan comes calling. You can see they've already got an army right here. And this does have some fairly threatening units, including these guards of the King's House, as well as Riders of the Mark. Even in a siege battle, these units, in particular their heavy cav, are going to be extremely formidable, especially their general, the Riders of the King's House. More than a match for our Serpent Black, so we do have to make sure we take care of this, and that includes rebuilding the stockade. If we want to keep any advantage, we have to do that. Let's go ahead and make use of mercenaries, though. We can send 1 unit in and recruit another one just to keep everybody topped up. But in the south, we have attracted the attention of one small army of the Reunited Kingdom. This is largely Kingdom Militia and King Swordsmen, and there's another larger army up here, which is a little more interesting looking on closer inspection, including some more Blackroot Vale Bowmen and Mariners. This is a very, very good unit. Let's see. So we'll try marching around and see if an ambush is in the cards. I'd really like to spring one, try to get some advantage. This army would be pretty decent in an ambush. where we can attack a strung out formation with our aggressive infantry and let our archers and cav get some kills. We want to basically draw their attention over here, but I'd like ultimately to get this army over to Dunfrecca to support. Otherwise, I see, I see some problems in our future if Rohan really keeps up the pressure. But we do have all of Khan's settlements, or both of Khan's settlements, under siege with large armies in the area. So let's try diplomacy here. We'll see if they'll be any more amenable to our overlordship demands. We'll, of course, as usual, give them a bunch of money. We'll go a little higher than I was originally planning, 150,000. Of course, we could certainly pay for more, and they're going to deny it. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get Khan ever, ultimately, but what we can do at least is get them down to just maybe 1 or 2 settlements, and then just leave them for a while, and they'll be much less of a hassle once we get them pretty much bled dry in terms of their units. And yes, as expected, Anphalis has rebelled. Now, the good news is this is in the hands of just a rebel faction. If we can do the old hold down the mouse button trick, we can see that this is held by the rebels. Now, it's not a very large army, but it will at least deny those resources to the Reunited Kingdom. It'll take them a little bit of while to get those back. Now, around Thornburg Keep, we did not have any ambushes on this turn. We didn't have this army move at all, but the other one did, and I'm not sure where they went. It's a little troubling, to say the least. So let's move around. Aha. Okay, they're all the way back in Arundel. Well, the good news there, I think, is that the units they're training up here are going to be very basic. These are just the Gondorian hillmen that you see here. And they are extremely weak compared to just about any of the other units that the United Kingdom can train. So it's good that they're draining that population for this kind of unit. It's also good that they're a little bit farther away from Thornburg Keep, so I think I can now risk putting this under siege. We can go ahead and build some siege equipment and then grab it the next turn, of course, after grabbing some mercenaries as well. Now, the other expected thing that happened during the AI's turn was that Rohan put Dunfrecca under siege. And you can see they've got this fairly large army with some fascinating units now that I can take a look at it. Some Helmingas, one of my favorite units to see when you're playing the Kingdom of Rohan. And I never see the AI make these, so this is quite a treat, actually. But on another level, this is a not good sign of things to come. They've got some very decent infantry, mixed with, it has to be said, some fairly low-tier cav. These Rohan spears are the most basic cavalry unit, and these Rohan riders are decent, but not really suited to city fighting. So if we can get things together and hopefully the right set of circumstances applies, then we should be able to see them off as well. But let's try diplomacy again with Khan. We'll bring our emissary down, try overlordship as a demand, offer a bunch of money. Let's go 200,000 this time. See what they have to say. Still no good. Khan is an extremely stubborn faction. They always seem to be that way in my campaigns. I'm not honestly sure if I have ever succeeded in getting them as a protectorate. I'm not sure if that's sort of a hard-coded thing because of the diplomatic attitude of their faction, or if it's something to do with the fact that they are a horde faction. I'm honestly not sure. We'll give this a while. We've got, let's see. We've got 5 seasons before this settlement and this one fall, so plenty of opportunity to make this happen. And it also has to be said that if Khan does fall, I'm a lot less concerned about it than I would be with some other factions. Even though we would have Rune to our north, we do have our protectorate here. So again, we could give Far Harad this settlement, keep Lug for ourselves, keep Akarn, and Far Harad would be watching our northern border with Rune. They don't have any problem with them, so it should be a pretty quiet frontier if that does happen. Well, besieging Thornburg Keep has certainly drawn the attention of the Reunited Kingdom. They've gathered some reinforcements from their western fiefs and are attacking under the guidance of Malbeth of Pineth Gelen. Lots of Kingdom militia, lots of swordsmen, a tiny bit of cav, but that's it. Inside the fort, we've got Iorlas of the House of Galazgil with some more Kingdom militia. Depending on the terrain, this could be a favorable battle for us. And the terrain looks pretty decent, honestly. So we've got the fort's army, the garrison coming from our left. And while we are pretty much on the top of the hill, they could potentially have come from over here. So I'm glad to see we still have our height advantage here. The bulk of the army is coming from, well, to the southeast, it looks like, and they appear to be attempting a flank over to our right. I'm going to just try to deny that to them. We'll just shift over a little bit. They don't have any archers, so this should be pretty straightforward. We want to retain our 1 unit of spearmen for fighting against the cavalry, and we also have our own cavalry to do that. And I think these mercenaries should do okay against the kingdom militia. You have to be careful that that cav doesn't suddenly rush our otherwise fairly flimsy line here. Alright, and that bodyguard unit is moving around. Okay, they're choosing their moment. We can hit down with our cav and then move the other cav around. We're letting them have the hill for now, although I don't think I'll continue allowing that to happen. Let's shift over to the right. We do have to be careful. Our general is fighting spears, even though they are the kingdom militia. They are still a spear unit. Leave him in here for a minute, but it is risky. Evenly matched. Of course, our cavalry here is not as effective as they would be in our native ground, so alright, it's time to pull out the general, I think. Move the cavalry out. We're doing okay against their cav. We do not need to take these kind of risks. And speaking of that, let's try to preserve our horsemen, because we are going to need them in this fight. Alright, it looks like they've decided to abandon trying to outflank us, so we need to be careful with this, because we need to probably end up using our archers as missile, or melee troops rather, not just missile troops. Alright, they're going to be very annoying chasing our cav around, so I think I'll maybe be able to pull off a Corsair unit. Well, they've got just 2 units of cav. One is their bodyguard, one is this unit of Gondorian horsemen. I'm really not concerned about that. And all the rest we can kind of outrun. Looks like we're finally getting some of their units routing over here. Let's bring the light cav back over. And let's go ahead and fight that cavalry unit. Okay, we've got some cav freed up. Get the bodyguard out of there. Yeah, we need to go after those Knights of the White Tree. We're doing well, but it's going to come right down to it. Alright, we're pushing right through all of their light units. And we've caught up with their Knights of the White Tree. Alright, let's send the horse in here. Spearmen are still holding out, just 3 men. We need to kill this general if we're going to take the city, of course. Well, actually, probably both generals. Alright, I want to be a little bit careful with these Corsairs, too. We have to choose it. Alright, there goes the general. That's a relief. Frees us up. Okay, here's the other one. Yeah, we do need to get this guy. Come on. Alright, we do have this 1 unit of Corsair archers, which we took off skirmish, sadly. So I think it's time now to bring their Corsairs over there. And yeah, let's start the melee in earnest. Go after those militia, those King's Swordsman units. Okay, we can take them out, and we can leave that unit of militia because it doesn't really matter if he gets away. This unit, though, this is going to be a problem. We really need to take him out. Someone just make a quick slash with your scimitar and take this guy out, please. Please. I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to make it, and that is so frustrating. Let's see if he can make it through. Oh, take him out, please. Oh, come on. Well, at least that was not the general who commanded the garrison. So we may get the city out of this yet. Still got arrows in the quivers of our Corsair archers. So we do still have some options. Of course, we can use them as melee units. Now we ran into their kingdom militia. Let's now pull out that we've stopped them. Alright, it's time to bring the bodyguard down to get that fear effect going. Alright, very good. Things are very promising. We've at least chased the general off the field, so that's going to open up their army for morale shocks. Alright, now we just roll up the flanks. Well, we got our victory screen, so we should just be able to clean this up and see if we're going to get the fort. And it looks like we did. Captured settlement, Thorenburg Keep. Yeah, let's lay desolate. We're only going to get a little bit of money out of that. But it is something. And more importantly, what this allows us to do now is to sort of clear the way to lend some of our units to support Dunfrecca. Now, of course, the problem is we've got a very large, presumably angry army of the Reunited Kingdom in the way, and we also have these very large armies of Rohan. So I'm not confident that we're going to be able to deal with it with what we have, but we can at least destroy the settlement, or what we can of it, and then get our army out of here and keep it moving. I think I want to end in an ambush position, but let's go ahead and scout ahead just a little bit first. Alright, one more shot. We'll try Khan for everything. Just give them all of our money and make an offer. And, okay, I was actually not expecting this. The strong warrior must bite his tongue and accept the unacceptable. We agree to your proposal for now. Alright, we have Protectorate number 3. Oh, that's wonderful news. And here's the best thing about it. Khan is not at war with anyone else. They are allied with Rune. That's totally fine. They're allied with North Rune. That's also totally fine. That basically stops the war between them and Far Harad, and it should completely seal off our border. Well, this is wonderful news. Let's bring our armies out of here, and we'll decide what to do with them here. Now, we've got a lot of men in the area, and what I would love is to strip some of them away, disband them, and then retrain them elsewhere. But wow, this is unexpected, and probably a fitting place for us to end. We've basically secured, for the second time, secured our eastern flank, our northeastern flank at this point, and picked up a third protectorate. However, in the west, things are on somewhat shakier ground. In the next episode, I expect we're going to be assaulted by Rohan. If we manage to hold out, then we'll be able to hopefully bring this army to bear. That is, of course, if they're not attacked en route. And we do have to give some thought for reinforcements. I have been training some Spearmen of the Serpent, but an important unit that we might start using in the Northern Theater is now available in Harn Gond. That's right, we have the option to train Harandor armsmen of our own. Very strong unit, and I'd love to see them in action. So I hope you'll join me in the next episode when we see where this campaign goes. Until then, everybody, take care.